We're seeing more and more empty buildings and doors locked as many point to the business environment for all of the closure.
I had a $40 acai bowl. Yes, you heard that right. A $40 acai bowl. If I had to describe the way it tasted, I would explain it as money burning inside of my stomach.
The server said, if you're not willing to leave $85 as a tip, then you shouldn't have come here in the first place.
Sis didn't expect it to be that expensive. 100 grams of meat was $30. One glass of water was $6. She brought the signature meat menu. We got some first class, fresh prepared bread. Total $614.
Just gonna grate it here, right on the sides.
Old-fashioned tartar here. Come to Papa.
Green herbs and shallots.
That's very elegant what you did.
Rising prices at Five Guys making some customers lose their appetites. One tweet going viral calling the cost of a meal out of control, along with this receipt apparently showing a $22 price tag for a bacon cheeseburger, regular soda, and little fry.
This is a fast food restaurant. Why is a burger $12.50?
But Five Guys is not alone. The price of eating at restaurants rising higher than the rate of inflation in the last 12 months.
Eating away from home is about 30% more expensive than it was in 2019. But now a lot of these restaurants realize they really just can't raise prices anymore. I think customers are at a breaking point.
The Wall Street Journal reporting more than half of small business owners, like restaurateurs, said higher labor costs are their biggest source of inflation.
So the big chains have a little more wiggle room and leeway, but these small independent restaurants, those are the people who had to get really creative. They're shuffling their menu items. They're taking things off the menu that maybe have high input costs. And when you talk to them, they tell you that it's not actually what's on the plate that costs them so much. The beef was at record highs late last year, but it's coming down a little bit. But it's the labor, it's the rent, it's the packaging. Some of these small business owners have told me that the packaging has doubled and tripled. And so their input costs are still real high in the past 2 or 3 years.
Those small businesses have it so much harder because they don't have the brand recognition that bigger names like McDonald's and Outback have.
Restaurants are quietly adding non-tipper fees to bills, hoping you won't notice. Inside a restaurant in California, after finishing his dinner, a customer was checking his bill. Suddenly, he noticed an extra line at the bottom of the bill. It showed non-tipper fee. The amount was 15% of the total bill. The server explained, "This is our restaurant's new policy. If you do not leave a tip, the system will automatically add a 15% tip." The customer did not argue any further. That night, he posted a photo of the bill on social media. The post got tens of thousands of comments overnight. Some people supported this kind of practice, but some people also said non-tipper fees should be illegal. You cannot force a tip. But some people were also curious. How do they know you're a non-tipper if you haven't paid yet? But more people felt tipping culture needs to stop. It's getting ridiculous.
You also have to be careful because often the tip is already added to the bill, which is another way to get you no matter what. And now when just 2 bowls at Chipotle will set you back $52, you know that there's a problem.
I feel like a lot of these new and modern aesthetic restaurants are the biggest ripoffs because I know that if I walk into one of these places and they have a QR code for a menu and metal stools for their seating, I'm about to pay $27 for like a tiny hamburger. Because my mom and I went to one of these restaurants and we walked in and they had a chalkboard for a menu. They had like a wall with like some foliage and like fake leaves and whatnot. And all the tables and seats, they were made out of like metal and steel, right? So we knew it was one of those like modern restaurants. And we sat down, you know, we're looking at the menu. I kid you not, a chicken sandwich, just the sandwich itself, was $23. Like that didn't include a side and it didn't include a drink either. So it's like $30 for the entire meal. And like, so I ordered it, right? My mom got something else and it was the worst food we have ever had. Like it tasted awful. And then to add insult to injury, dude, the serving sizes were so small. Like the fries, they gave me like 12 fries maybe. The drink itself was small. They just filled it up with ice to the top. And the sandwich itself, it was so tiny. And they just rip you off every single time.
It's not just those modern and aesthetic restaurants, it's pretty much everywhere, which is a shrinkflation and corner cutting for the restaurant to try and make a buck. And here we got some actual numbers from the restaurant side being broken down.
You want to know why your sandwich costs so much at the local restaurant? My friend Dan sent me a text the other day. He was at one of my restaurants. He said, Brian, I just ordered a BLT. It's $16. You realize it's just bread, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I said, yeah, Dan, but let me give you some restaurant perspective. In today's economy, my rent is $20,000 a month. My utilities are $6,000 a month. And my labor is currently running about $60,000 a month. That's at 28%. So I'm in for $86,000 a month before I sell a single sandwich. At a 32% food cost, I have about $11 profit in that sandwich. That means I have to sell 93,800 sandwiches a year, or 257 a day, just to break even and make no money. 1.5 million in revenue, and I don't make a dime. That's why your sandwich costs so much. That's a reflection on our economy.
Everybody's losing on the restaurant side, so I ran a quick Grok search. From 2019, labor costs has risen 35% and food costs has risen 34 to 36% on the producer side. Grocery store food costs is about 29%. So if you're a restaurant and you're asking yourself, why aren't people going out? Simple. They can't afford it. Nobody can afford to eat out anymore. So you've got to get to value. Because as a consumer, how can you justify going and getting a $5 hamburger from just a couple years ago to a $15 hamburger? You think you're getting robbed, but really, you're not, because that's the increase in labor.
Well, you are getting robbed as a consumer because the value of what you're getting does not match the price. For which you can also say the same for the restaurants because they've got to spend money as well.
I'm kind of starting to think that this slop bowl restaurant fad that has taken America by storm over the last 15 years is literally just an excuse for these companies to put extremely cheap ingredients together, douse them in a very mediocre sauce, and then sell them to us for $20 a meal.
The culture of going out to eat in America is getting absolutely destroyed. You used to be able to go out to eat, get a drink, get an appetizer, get a meal, maybe get a dessert, $22. If you want to go out to eat with a friend and grab lunch, you're spending $60, maybe $70. You throw a mocktail, cocktail in there, you're at $100. You're already done. You have families of 4, families of 5 that want to go out to eat, and the minimum they spend is $150, $160 to feed their family of 4. Service is down, portions are down, quality is down, everything is down, prices are up, people are aggravated, people are sick of it, and I understand that.
Happiness is also down while sadness is up, unfortunately. And here we got the end result of an empty restaurant.
We're seeing more and more empty buildings and doors locked as many point to the business environment for all of the closure. Vacant storefronts and closed-up restaurants are a common sight as businesses struggle to keep up with operating expenses due to financial pressures.
And they say this is to help us support the wages of our staff, but it still comes out of the pockets of consumers. It's really tough because prices have just been rising and a lot of consumers don't feel as though their salaries have kept up to the same pace as that.
To save money, customers are ordering smaller, less expensive meals or choosing to order from the kids menu.
Are seeing a lot more of sharing meals, especially because a lot of meals have really large portions. You see less ordering alcoholic drinks because a lot of times those can raise the price of a meal. And so you'll see Gen Z or millennials having maybe a drink or a cocktail before they go to dinner to help cut down costs on that end as well.
Every single month, more and more closures, okay? Even McDonald's CEO have came out and said that they are dropping their prices on their value meals to bring back their reputation of affordability because they forgot. who their patrons were. Even just the parking people, okay? Everybody wants $40 and up, okay? Then you want to charge another $24 to get into your place. Then you want to charge $20, $25 per drink, $30, $35, $40 for food. Like Sunday Fun Day is now like $200 to $300.
Having to pay so much will turn Sunday Fun Day into Sunday Scaries. Then Monday rolls around and you're trying to work yourself out of being broke. Next, we have a restaurant owner trying to defend why restaurants are so expensive.
You know, I can always tell who's about to complain about the price. Because they're looking at the menu like it's Walmart. Like we're just marking stuff up for fun. Well, let me clear something up real quick. This isn't a grocery store. You're not paying for raw ingredients. You're paying for someone to prep it, someone to cook it, someone to serve it, a building to sit in, equipment running all day to cook it, a team making sure that it actually comes out right. But people still look at a plate and go, I could make this at home for half the price. Yeah, but you didn't. You didn't shop for it, prep it, cook it, clean it, or take any of the risk that comes with it. So no, this isn't Walmart, and it was never supposed to be.
At this point, I don't even want to go out because y'all are giving me anxiety. So we have to tip everybody 20% because they don't get paid, and that's not their fault. I've made terms with that. And now, according to this server, we have to also be fast. They want us to look at the menu online before we show up so we know what we want to eat, and they don't have to wait for us. We need to know what we want to drink the first time the waiter approaches us. Can I breathe? This is no longer a fun experience for me. You've heard of being nice to your waiters. You've heard of tipping 20%, but have you heard of being fast? I want you to know what you want to drink when I walk up. One server is putting customers onto the way to make the dining experience run more smoothly for servers. I'm not going to stay there for 5 hours. But don't rush me. The waiter says it's helpful for customers to know their orders when servers arrive at the table. I would like to look at the menu as part of the dining experience. For tipping 20%, I can't look at the menu. I can't ask you a question. Why do we even go out?
People go to those restaurants to relax, talk, and enjoy themselves as they eat. Plus, the longer you stay there, the more likely you are to spend more money there. And here we got some actual numbers as to how much it's costing everyday people.
Data from Ramsey Solutions shows a single-person household is spending about $222 a month on eating out, where a married couple with kids is spending about $500 a month on meals outside of their home, a cost that can add up.
Even just going to a regular pick-up to-go meal can add up to like $40-50 just for the three of us on average. So it could get pretty pricey. No, that's not including drinks. That's just, sandwich and some chips.
A couple went out to eat at a restaurant. The bill was $200. They left a $50 tip and thought it was reasonable, but the server refused to accept it. This happened at a restaurant in California. The couple said they genuinely felt a $50 tip was fair. However, after taking one look at the money on the table, the server said, if you're not willing to leave $85 as a tip, then you shouldn't have come here in the first place. The couple was stunned. They sat there feeling extremely awkward, like they had done something wrong. They said they weren't trying to be cheap or disrespectful. They truly believe $50 was an appropriate tip.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
If a 25% tip was not enough, then taking it back and leaving no tip becomes very enticing. Now, granted, king crab is supposed to be expensive, but not as expensive as here.
Dining out costs too much now. I went to King Crab House in Chicago. I got the oyster Rockefeller, which was pretty good. I couldn't complain. I ain't gonna lie. When I saw this plate, I was like, where's the rest of it? But this is what it was. But this melted butter was just so boring, plain, tasteless. So I ordered their Cajun garlic butter sauce. It was definitely more tasty than the regular butter. It really did look better than it actually tasted, though. As you see, I did eat all my food except for the potato because they didn't have any seasoning. Even when I added salt and pepper. I had water to drink. My bill was $148. I felt this was overpriced, but I guess I paid for the service.
You ever hit up a new restaurant and you think, oh my God, this place is legit. Then you go back a month later and it tastes like dog water, and they ditched everything for just frozen Stouffer's, and not even the good Stouffer's, the bad Stouffer's. So what happened? The owner flinched and said, okay, hold on. Let's take it down a notch. Let's not make this so easy. What happened is they either had a really good night where everyone was operating at a high level, or more likely than not, they started cutting corners. And that's so easy, is to cut corners and say, you know what? No one's gonna notice if we don't really go the full 9 on that thing. When you cheap out, you lose trust forever in any business.
After working in the restaurant industry for literally like 15 years now and doing it at the highest level, I can tell you most restaurants are scamming you out of your money. Literally 90% of restaurants are just selling frozen stuff that they bought off a truck, and they're just heating it up in the microwave, throwing it on a plate and giving it to you. And the worst part is you're out here spending your hard-earned money on stuff that's not good for you. It's frozen, flavorless, and just terrible service. Seriously, if you go to a place and they don't have like polished silverware, the table's dirty when you get there, the waiter or waitress or hostess, whoever the service person is, like isn't being like joyous and polite, optimistic, energetic, and just like so jazzed to see you, walk out.
As they say, the customer is always right. Although it does not mean you can be rude and entitled to staff, but you gotta know that the restaurant needs you more than you need them. Now, some will not know whether to laugh or cry when they get the joke here.
This is the most expensive restaurant in America. They don't take any reservations, and you need a membership to even check in. But once you're in, the head chef crafts you a personalized 3-day tasting menu, complete with 24/7 private room service and an all-you-can-drink minibar. The first day, the chef restricts the menu to nothing but clear liquids, which is genius because even though this vegetable broth was absolutely divine, it definitely leaves you excited for day 2 when the chef prepares 3 courses of full liquids, including a deconstructed chocolate from Switzerland, anti-probiotic French yogurt, and imported Italian sorbetto, served alongside classics like cream of wheat, pureed soup, and of course, chocolate pudding. The absolute highlight of the entire weekend was the solid food course on day 3, which was well worth the over $10,000 price tag.
We've talked about it 100 times of what it means for a restaurant to pay a server or bartender a livable wage. Like, if you look at a place like mine, I would assume most of us are averaging $60 an hour in tips. And if you look at that, like, Anthony can't afford to pay that at the prices we charge, and we're expensive. Like, we're $70 steaks, and there's no way that that could be affordable for a restaurant without raising the prices. All right, if you want the employers to pay a wage, an affordable or a living wage to servers and bartenders, you're looking at burgers going to $15 to $20. So you're looking at $30 burgers when you're going out for burgers and fries. You're looking for your average pizza cost going up to $50 for a large cheese and pepperoni pizza if you go out to a nice pizza restaurant. And that's where the restaurant industry crumbles, because that's when people stop going to restaurants because you can't afford to pay that.
Are you serious? It is odd when you think about it that you can go home and eat a bowl of rice, some beans with it, and get most of and maybe a salad, and that's your nutrition, and that would cost you $1 in raw ingredients. Or you can go to a restaurant and spend hundreds of dollars on food and wine. The fact that people do that at all means you can raise the sense of culinary satisfaction to extremely high levels. And people do. So I like a good bottle of wine where I'm distracted by how good it is so that I lose sleep at night wondering how the winemaker accomplished that feat.
The problem is that now people do not feel a decent level of culinary satisfaction unless they spend big. And now finally some restaurants are starting to get the message and lower their prices.
Fast food places have completely lost their mind. Many of them are now more expensive than sit-down restaurants. Don't believe me? Look at the prices if you go through McDonald's, if you go through Chipotle, Burger King, Wendy's. Now, look at the prices for the people that have fixed this. Look at Chili's prices. At Chili's right now, you can go to Chili's and get a big burger or a big chicken sandwich with fries and a drink for $9.99. That's their lunch special for people that want to come in and grab lunch from Chili's. Red Lobster, changed when Debola came in and completely switched everything for them. Now they have happy hours. They have $5 margaritas. They have seafood boils. All of these sit-down places that were in trouble because their business wasn't going good. They were looking at bankruptcy. They were like, oh crap, there's a huge market for all these places now. The other day, I paid $52.64 for 2 bowls and 2 drinks at Chipotle. Receipt is on my story. Look at the prices at these places. It's absolutely nuts.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Only eat overpriced foods for an entire day? I feel like I should make you pay, but challenge accepted. Now to begin this challenge, I had a $40 acai bowl. Yes, you heard that right, a $40 acai bowl. The only thing worse than the price of this bowl was the fact that they topped it with a bunch of fruit. If I had to describe the way it tasted, I would explain it as money burning inside of my stomach. The next stop on my wallet-crushing food tour was a $20 ice cream. Now yes, it was indeed the size of my head, but I don't know in what world this would be considered ice cream. This was just another smoothie. To end this challenge, I then decided to find out where I could buy some self-respect, because I obviously need some after these last 2 purchases.
Next, you could try to eat underpriced food for a day, or hopefully forever along with everybody else too. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out our website moneymasternews.com and check out the video right above me.